días a todos y gracias
Good morning,
para
everybody.
su participación
Thank you for your
con
participation
nosotros en ese
with us
serie de charlas para presentar
with these chats in order to
herramientas
present
del Climate Hub y
tools
de nuestros
for the Hub and
socios
of the
y
Climate Hub and our
partners. Y es
associates
un
partners.
placer para tener
And it's a pleasure
personas de la NOAA con nosotros hoy.
having people from NOAA with
Y
us
yo
today.
quiero decir
And
gracias
I
a
would
ellos
like to say thank you to
para
them
usar ese media para compartir sus
for using
herramientas. Y
and
gracias
sharing these
a
tools.
la
And
doctora
thank you,
Bracero,
Dr.
para
Bracero,
organizar y
for
facilitar
organizing and facilitating
esa actividad. Realmente
this
para
activity.
nosotros es otro
For us,
mecanismo para
it's
compartir
another
información
way of
útil
sharing
para
useful
enfrentar
information
cambio climático
in
y
order to
realmente
deal with
queremos
climate change.
oír sus
And we want to
sugerencias
hear
y para aprender, para mejorar
in
nuestros
order to learn
servicios a ustedes.
and
Gracias de nuevo.
make our services to you better. Thank you
Gracias,
again.
Bill. Un placer.
Thank you, Bill. A
Como
pleasure.
mencionó nuestro director,
As
nosotros
our director
tenemos 10
mentioned,
centros
we have
regionales y parte
10
de
general
la misión
centers,
es hablar de
and part of the
información
mission
científica,
is to speak
sintetizar esa
about
información científica, desarrollar herramientas
scientific
y divulgar esa información científica
information and
con
synthesizing,
diferentes métodos.
then
Son
create
10
tools in
centros
order
regionales,
to
como mencioné, y hay un centro
make them known. We
internacional.
have regional centers and international centers or
Este es el
national
equipo del
centers.
Centro Climático
This
del
is the
Caribe,
team
bajo la
of the
dirección de nuestro
Caribe
director
Climate
Bill Gould.
Center.
Tenemos una
Under Bill's
diversidad de
school, we have
backgrounds, de trasfondos,
we have a
de
diversity of
disciplinas
background
que
and
hacen
disciplines
que el trabajo del Centro Climático del
that
Caribe
make the
sea
work
próspero
of the
y
center
ayude
be
a los dueños de
prosperous and
terreno y agricultores.
able to help landowners and governments.
Esto es un ejemplo de las actividades que
This is an
realizamos, que al final
example
del
of the
texto lo
activities that
vamos
we
a invitar
perform.
a una de ellas que tenemos en
And
octubre
at the end, we're going to
24,
invite you to one that we will
donde
be
se
having
hace un
on
SJA,
October
le llamamos
24th,
un
where we
SJA,
have one
y los
SBA
agricultores y dueños de terreno tienen la
where
oportunidad de interactuar con
farmers
pares, interactuar con otras
have
agencias
the
del
opportunity of
USDA y
interacting with
conocer de
peers
oportunidades de
and
fondo,
get to know
metodologías,
opportunities,
prácticas de
everyday things that
adaptación,
are
etc.
happening, adaptation practices, and so on.
También tenemos las guías de
We
adaptación
also have
climática,
the
que le
adaptation,
llamamos
the
en 5
climate
pasos,
adaptation
están
guide
disponibles en nuestra
in
página
5 steps. They're
oficial,
available on
donde
our
se busca
official
que los
page,
agricultores
where we
definan,
are looking for
analicen,
farmers to
evalúen
be able
e
to define,
identifiquen diferentes
analyze,
vulnerabilidades en su
evaluate,
terreno
and identify
y en sus
vulnerabilities
fincas
in their
para que
land,
puedan adaptarse a los
and
diferentes
so that they can
riesgos de cambio
adapt to
climático.
different
Y el último paso sería monitorear
risks of
y
climate
evaluar
change
si
or threats. And the
esos
last
cambios que
change
se
would be to
hicieron están
monitor
teniendo
and check
efecto
to
en
see
sus
if those
fincas.
changes that have been performed have had any effect on their farms.
Igualmente los invitamos
In
a
the same
nuestro
way, we
canal de
invite
YouTube.
you
En nuestro
to
canal
our
de
YouTube
YouTube van
channel
a poder ver los
where
videos
you can
de
see
diferentes
videos
agricultores y
of
cómo ellos
different
han aplicado
farmers
prácticas
and
de
how they
adaptación
have
y cómo
applied
ha
adaptation
sido
practices
beneficioso para
and
cada uno de
how
ellos.
it has been, how each of those has been beneficial for them.
Las charlas técnicas están inspiradas en todas las
The
herramientas
technical
digitales que
talks are
tenemos para
inspired
la
in
toma
all
de
of the
decisiones y voy a
digital
hablar
tools that we have
brevemente de todas
implemented
las
for making
herramientas que
decisions.
tenemos en el Centro
And I'm going to
Climático
briefly talk
del Caribe.
about the
Tenemos la
ones that we
herramienta de
have in the
planificación
Caribe
agrícola,
Climate Center. We
estadística
have the
agrícola, el
planification, the farm,
visualizador de datos y tenemos la herramienta
we
de
have the
CIMOR.
visualization of
La
data
herramienta de
and the
planificación
CMOR.
agrícola es una de las
The
más famosas y
planning
muchos de ustedes
tool is
quizás
one
la
of the most
conocen.
famous ones.
Es una
You
herramienta
might
que le
know it.
permite a los
It's a
usuarios
tool that allows
dibujar un
users
polígono y recibir un
to
informe
draw a polygon
rápido
and receive
de diferentes características
a report of
ambientales y
different
social del clima.
characteristics that have to do
Tenemos
with
la
the
herramienta de
environment and the
estadísticas
climate. We
agrícolas.
have
Esta
the
herramienta de
one
estadísticas
on
agrícolas
agricultural
es el primer
statistics.
mapa donde
It's
se
the
muestran los
first
cultivos y la
map where
procedencia
we
de
see
producción en Puerto
the
Rico.
different
Los
crops
usuarios
and
pueden
where the
descargar
different
estos
crops
datos
come from,
en formato para
and
Google
users
Earth
can
y también pueden
download
descargar
these
sus
in formats
tablas.
for Google Earth and the
Finalmente,
tables.
tenemos el
Finally,
visualizador
we
de
have
datos,
the
donde
visualizer, the
las
data
personas pueden
visualizer,
también
where
crear un
people
punto y
can
ver
also,
información
people can
espacial
create a point and
al
find
momento
spatial
con sus
information,
mapas de cada una de
present moment one,
estas
with a
capas.
map,
Y
and with
tenemos
each one of these
CIMOR, los
layers.
informes de observación y
And we have the
monitoreo de la
same with the
sequía,
observation
donde
reports,
es
the
para
droughts, the Seymour
ciencia
ones,
ciudadana. Y los usuarios
for
pueden enviar informes de sequía,
users
y no
that can
solamente
then
de sequía,
send
sino de las
reports
condiciones
on
actuales
drought,
en su
but
área, más
also on the
lluvia, menor
actual,
lluvia, etc.
what is
Así que los
actually happening in
invitamos a
their areas,
acceder
more rain,
a
less
estas
rain, and so on.
herramientas
So we invite you
para que
to
puedan
access these
utilizarlas en sus
tools
diferentes
so that you can
proyectos.
use it. You can use them in your projects.
Y ahora le paso la
Now,
batuta a los
I'm
colegas
going to
Cecil
pass
Villanueva
the mic
y Emanuel
to
para que
Cecilia
puedan
Villanueva
share
and Emmanuel
screen
so that they
y
can
puedan comenzar con la charla
start
técnica
with
y
a
el tema
technical
del
chat and the
StormReady
topic
Dashboard.
of
Adelante.
StormReady
Muchas gracias
Dashboard.
nuevamente.
Welcome and thank you again.
Me pueden escuchar, ¿verdad?
You can hear me, right?
Te escuchamos,
Yes, we do.
te vemos.
And we see you.
Okay. Al lado está Manuel, vamos a estar como que
Here's
intercambiando
Manuel. We're going
cuando
to
en la
be
presentación.
exchanging
Así que
ideas
la
throughout
presentación
the presentation.
está, el formato va a ser entre la presentación
The
y
format will
entonces,
be
switchando
between the
cambiando hacia
presentation
herramientas para hacer la
and
demostración.
switching to the tool in order
Así
for us
que
to show you how to use
nuevamente
it.
si
So
van
once
a
more,
compartir los slides, aquí está el link
we're
de la
going to share the
herramienta
slides.
directamente.
Here's the link for the tool
Así que
directly.
esta herramienta se
So
hizo porque
this tool was
dentro de la
created
NOAA, la
because
NOAA tiene
in
diferentes
NOAA
agencias, el Servicio Nacional de
and the
Meteorología
different
es una
agencies,
de ellas.
the
Hay
agency, the
muchos
meteorological
casos,
agency,
muchas
there's
aplicaciones,
a
muchas
lot of
herramientas que
information,
puede
lots
ser
of
también
tools
abrumador para,
that can be
para
overwhelming
el personal del público y también para
for the
entidades del
public
gobierno poder
and for the
accesar
public
esa
entities,
información. Así que
for them to
esta
access
herramienta
the
es un
information. So
facilitador
this is a
de
facilitator
recopilar toda esa data
for compiling all of the
y
data
herramientas que sean
and the tools
pertinentes para
that
tomar
are
decisiones
pertinent
o para
for
que sea cual
decision
sea
making
el interés
or whatever the
de
interest might
quien lo
be
utiliza.
of the
Aquí
person who's using
incluye
it.
sensores de ríos, de
It
los
includes
SJS, las
river information, SGS,
vigentes que nos
advices,
emite
and
y
so on,
también
and
vulnerabilidad en deslizamientos de tierra, condiciones de sequía.
and landslides,
También
droughts,
tenemos
and
también
so
esta
on. We also
herramienta
have
cómo accesar el
tools
pronóstico meteorológico,
to access
observaciones,
meteorological forecasts,
vulnerabilidad tropical o
observations,
por efectos de cambio climático como el aumento del nivel
climate
del
change
mar y
elements like
condiciones oceánicas y
increase in
costeras.
ocean
No
levels,
voy a ir en
and so on.
detalle a cada uno
I'm
de
not
ellos
going to
porque
go
es
in
bastante,
detail into each one
pero
because it's a lot,
vemos
but
rápidamente cómo manejar
a
la
quick
herramienta y
overview
accesar estas
on how to
informaciones,
handle
pero
the
les invito
tool
a que
and
mientras
access the
están
information. But I invite you
utilizando la
to, while
herramienta,
you're
si tienen alguna
using the
pregunta,
tool,
me los pueden
if you have
hacer al final
any
de
question, to
de la
please
presentación
bring it
o
at the end of the
también
presentation. Or
contactarnos a
also
nosotros y
contact
nosotros con
us,
mucho gusto también
and
estaríamos
with
guiando
pleasure, we would be guiding you through
con
your
cualquier
challenges
información que ustedes
with
necesiten.
any kind of information that you might need.
Lo primero es la navegación.
First thing
En
is
los
navigation.
próximos slides,
In the next few
básicamente es
slides,
una manera
basically,
rápida de cómo navegar esta
it's
herramienta,
just
así
a
que voy
quick
a
overview of
cambiar
how to navigate the tool.
a
So
la
I'm going to
herramienta.
change to the
En este
tool.
caso,
In this case,
cuando pueden ver la
when
herramienta, ¿correcto?
you can see the tool, right?
Sí, la vemos.
Yes, we do.
Cuando ustedes abren el dashboard
When you
como tal,
open the
esto es lo
dash,
primero que sale, que es el
this is
mapa
what you're going to see.
interactivo, tenemos
The
entonces
interactive map,
sensores de ríos,
we
tenemos
have the river
vigilancia y advertencias
sensors,
y avisos que están vigentes
the
en estos momentos.
advices and warnings that are
Lo más importante es, por ejemplo, si
up at
quieren
present, but the most important
cambiar
thing is
la
that
base de
if you want
mapa,
to change
este es
the map
el que
bases,
sale, pero ustedes pueden elegir
you
cuál
might
es esa
want,
base de
this is the one
mapa
you have, but we
dependiendo
can check the
de cuál
base
es su
depending on
preferencia. Así
what
que
is your
pueden ser
preference.
mapas
So we
topográficos
can use
o pueden ser
a
también mapas
topographical one,
de imagen de satélite, como ustedes
satellite
prefieran.
image, or
También
whichever you
que
prefer.
está aquí en el
Also, the
segundo
one that we have
de la
here,
derecha a izquierda,
the
aquí están
second
las
from
capas de datos que
right to
pueden
left,
estar
we have the layers of data
apagando si es necesario. Aquí tenemos los
that you
municipios, si
might
quiere ver los
be
municipios más de
turning
cerca, lo
on
pueden
if you
hacer.
want. If you want to see
Cuáles
municipalities up
son
close,
las
then you
zonas
can do it.
marítimas, si las quieren apagar
Maritime
ustedes,
zones, you can
nacionales,
also
zonas
do.
climáticas de fuego, los
Climate
sensores
areas,
y también las
sensors,
alertas de
and
largo
also
a largo
the
plazo o corto
advices,
plazo. Así que
long-term advices
es como ustedes quieran
or
ver
alerts.
esta
So,
herramienta. Y aquí
however
una
you want to see it,
leyenda
you can.
bastante sencilla de por lo
It's a
menos
very
de alguna
simple way of
de los datos.
looking at it. So it's an overview, a
En
simple
términos de
overview of this.
cercaria, puedo
In
utilizar el mouse
terms
o puedo
of
utilizar esta herramienta que tenemos
zooming in,
aquí.
you can click on the
Tenemos
plus or
también,
use this
creo
tool.
que
We also have
de las herramientas más útiles es que
one of the
puede
most useful tools
accesar
is that
de
you
aquí,
can
es,
access
puede,
this over
la
here
etiqueta tiene la
is
ubicación
if you click
actual
it,
de donde
has
ustedes
the
están.
placement of where you are at present,
O
the
también
location,
podemos utilizar aquí
or
la lupa, donde
you can
funciona
use
como cualquier aplicación
a
geográfica
magnifying glass that works like any other
como
application,
Google Maps, donde
like Google
pueden
Maps,
poner el
where you can
municipio, el
place a
estado,
municipality,
lo que ustedes quieran,
state,
hasta también
whatever you want, or
barrios,
even
urbanizaciones. Así que en esta prueba,
urbanizations,
pues entonces puedo poner
communities. And
el área de
so let
Coupé,
me show, for example, Coupé, the
que es el
area of
área donde
Coupé,
yo vivo, y
which
entonces
is the area where I
básicamente
live.
aquí me va a decir
And
dónde es
basically, it's
esa
going to tell
área.
me
Y si
where that
está
area
fijado,
is.
pues
And
a la
if you
mano
notice,
derecha, que es donde
on the
están las
right-hand
alertas
side,
de largo y corto
where
plazo,
we
se va a
have
ajustar
the
a lo
long
que
and
la
short
pantalla, el mapa
term
está viendo.
advices, that's going to
tengo
adapt to whatever the
clientes
map is
para
showing
mi
you.
área,
So
es que
what I
tengo un
have
aviso de calor
ongoing now
excesivo,
is
también
I
tengo
have
advertencias de resaca
a heat
fuerte y
advisory
riesgo alto de corrientes marinas. En la
and
parte
a high
superior,
risk
estas
of
alertas a corto
maritime
plazo es
currents.
mayormente
On top, we have
como
in
unas
the
condiciones
short
meteorológicas
term
se están cambiando
alerts,
rápidamente.
we see
Aquí
how the
estarían
meteorological elements
como
change quickly.
inundaciones,
So
avisos,
floods,
comunicados que podrían
flood
ser
alerts, or
por
communications that
tornadas
might
severas
be
o
for severe
severas. Por
thunderstorms.
ejemplo, a Florida,
Storm.
va
If
a
we
ver
go to
que
Florida,
entonces se va
you'll
ajustando
see
todas esas alertas
that
y
it goes
podemos ver
adjusting,
que entonces
that the
tenemos
alerts go
ahí los
adjusting, and we
avisos
can
de
see that we
inundaciones ya
have the flood advisories
está
on the
en
list.
orden de lo que expira
It's
primero
in the
hasta lo que
order of what
expira
expires
al
first to
final.
what expires last.
Así que por el momento, por lo menos tienen aquí
So at present, here you have
una manera rápida de
a
poder
quick way
accesar y cómo
of accessing information and
Ahí, esta parte de la
using this.
lupa puede utilizar hasta
This part of the
puntos de
magnifying glass, you can
referencia, por ejemplo,
even use it for
una
points of reference.
en Puerto Rico, en San Juan,
Let's
ustedes
say in
están en
San
esa
Juan,
zona,
if you're in that zone,
puede ajustarse
then you can adjust
a lo que a puntos de referencia que ustedes desean.
to reference points that you might want.
Vamos a ver, Walgreens de
Let's say,
San
for
Sebastián,
example,
por
Walgreens of San Sebastian,
o algo de Santa Fe, Bayamón, pueden hacer
or the one in
cualquier punto de
Bayamon,
referencia los puede
whatever
utilizar.
reference point that you want, you can look for it.
En
Once more,
términos de
in terms
otras
of
cosas esta
what other
herramienta
things
ofrece,
this
esto
tool
sería la
offers,
situación, la primera
it would be
pestaña
the
es la situación
situation. The
actual.
first
¿Qué es lo que está pasando ahora
slot
mismo?
is what's going on
Entonces,
right now.
siguiendo en las próximas
That's the first tier.
pestañas, ¿qué es lo que
The next tier
nos estaría
is
dando otro diferente de datos? Pero una de las
would be
herramientas
giving us a different
más
group of
buenas
data.
del dashboard son los
So
sensores
let's look
de
at the
río.
dashboard.
Aquí paso entonces a
So
Emanuel,
we hear
que
the
explica
river
un poco.
zones.
Claro que sí. Los sensores
So
de
of
ríos que
course,
vemos en el
the
mapa
river sensors
se
that we see on the
diferencian por
map
colores
are
dependiendo
differentiated by
de
color,
inundación que se encuentre el río.
depending on the levels of flood that the river might be in.
Verde significa que el río está
Green
dentro de
means
su cauce.
that the
Los
river is
sensores que
within
están en
its own
azulito,
bed.
eso quiere decir que
The
el
ones that are
nivel
in
de
blue
inundación
means
no
that
es definido.
the flood level is not
Si
defined.
nosotros tocamos el
If we touch
botoncito del río,
the little,
me dice,
if we
por
click on the
ejemplo, a
river,
qué
it tells me
nivel
the
el río se
level of the
encuentra
water,
crecido, que ese es el momento en
how
que
much
manejadores de emergencia,
has
las
it
comunidades ya
overflowed,
deben decidir si tienen que tomar algún plan de
and the
desalojo
communities need to
o de cualquier
decide whether
medida
they're
para proteger
going
su vida y
to
propiedad, mientras que
stay or leave,
inundaciones
or
menores
what they need
son
to do to
inundaciones que
protect their
podrían
life
afectar
and
las
property.
carreteras, ya moderadas y mayores, son inundaciones que pueden poner en peligro
Floods
las
then go from
comunidades.
the slight ones that
Si nosotros
might
tocamos al link
affect
que
the
aparece abajo que dice más
streets,
info
and
del
then the
hidrograma,
severe one that tells you
nosotros
that
podemos
then you can
ver
have
la
severe
información
problem.
como tal del
We can
río.
see the information of the
Aquí
river per se in this
esencialmente lo que
click.
podemos
Here,
observar
essentially,
es
what we can
cómo se ha
see
comportado el río en las
is
pasadas
how the river
semanas.
has behaved
La
in the last
barra
few
de
weeks.
tiempo que tengo justo
The
abajo me
timeline that we
ayuda a
have
ver
under it
cómo el
allows
río
me
ha ido
to see
creciendo y
how the
bajando
river has
dependiendo de los
been
eventos de lluvia que
growing,
hemos
how the water
que hemos
level has
tenido.
gone increasing according to
Técnicamente,
or in
nosotros también
response to
podemos
the
buscar
levels
la
of
guía
rain that
del
we've had.
Modelo
We can
Nacional
also
de
look for the
Agua
guide of the
y eso nos
Water National
podría
Guide,
dar algún
and
tipo
that
de
could give us
pronóstico
a bit
de cómo
of
se va a
uh,
comportar el río, pero
preview of
realmente esta
how
guía
or a
no
forecast of
está
how
muy
the river is
calibrada
going
en
to
estos
behave.
momentos, así
It's not very
que
well calibrated
pues
at present,
le pedimos
so
mantenerse más
we
bien
ask
en la
you
información que
to
tenemos
stay more in the
de cómo se
information
está
that we have
comportando el río
and
en
how
estos
the river is
momentos.
behaving at present.
Gracias, Emanuel.
Thank you,
Quería
Emmanuel.
recalcar
I wanted to
que
underline
también
or
para
highlight
ver
that
más información sobre las
to
alertas
look for more information
pertinentes,
about
pueden
the
hacerle
alerts that
clic
are
en el
pertinent or
mapa
the
y va a ser una
advisories and
ventanita
warnings, you can go
donde
to the
sale
map and you'll
esa
see a
alerta
window
y donde
where
va a
that
haber
alert will be. The
un
advisory will come
enlace
up,
donde puede hacer clic y
and you have a
buscar más
link where you can
información.
click
También pueden tocar en
and
el
get more
listado a la
information.
derecha y va a
To the
acercarlos
right-hand
a
side,
esa alerta
you
de
can
por sí, que
click
entonces
on this
pasaría
and
igual, por
you will
ejemplo,
get
si
closer to
estamos
the advisory. The
con
same would happen
avisos de inundaciones, si
if
tenemos
we
algún
have flood
aviso
warnings,
en particular que queremos ver,
and
podemos
if there's
entonces
one in particular that we want to look like,
entonces
that we want to look at, we can just click on it.
Información
And that information of original things, and we can go to original video. idea of how susceptible a particular area is in relation to landslides. So the ones that are more violet are much more vulnerable to landslides. Any case that I can think of is if there's an alert or an advisory or warning of flood, flash floods, then we can go to that alert. Let's see if we have one in the area of Rio Grande, Aparecido, and neighboring areas. When we go to this part of the landslides, we're going to be focusing on the same area. So then the flash floods are also focusing and telling us, if we use them together, they can also tell us where we're going to have landslides, so where they meet, where they cross. The next one has to do with it's a quick way of saying what the local Caribbean meteorological conditions are, and we see the satellite to the left, the radar to the right. The fourth tier is a tool that NOAA has, which makes it easy to visualize the forecast, but also other data. The first thing that we see in that tier, we have it set so that you see the rain forecast in the next 24 hours, or what has happened in the last 24 hours, and the numbers have to do with the values reported by meteorological stations in those areas. So you can see how much has rained in the last 24 hours. But it's a very extensive tool, which I'm not going to go into in detail. But at any point, you can plug in and out different data. You can use 24 hours, 48 hours, so on. So it's another tool where you can observe. And do you have any questions on how to work with this, you can ask us at the end of the activity. The next tier is the forecast that our office makes. In this, we have two screens. On the right, we have our graph on the danger impact that we're expecting in the next coming week, meaning in thunder, lightning, heat, excessive heat, rain, etc. This goes changing, and as that goes changing, we see how the map goes changing with the ones who are in more danger. But if you want to have the forecast that our office offers, then on the left, with the interactive map, you can click on it and you'll have a window will open. And on the second tier that says point weather forecast, you can click on that and it will give you the forecast for that particular area. The different tiers have maybe a more reduced version or more detailed, and here hourly through the week. So it's a way of observing the forecast in your interest area.
The next step is the dry seasons. I'm going to pass the baton to Emmanuel. The dry season monitor is a platform. It's a it's a place where you can evaluate the dry season in several regions of the United States. This report, we do it, estimating rivers, the reservoirs, rain, but we depend on those reports the volunteers provide to us. And precisely, last week, many farmers told us that they had dry season problems, and those are typical. We have objective and subjective. How does this lack of rain impact the operations of the farmers and of the citizens in general? Essentially, we touch upon the link, the drought monitor. We can go to the page whereby we can see the summary of the behavior for the past 2 months for Puerto Rico, and there are interactive maps where you can see the conditions, what would be the vegetation conditions, and how could you find the river levels, and a report that we work jointly with our colleagues of the USDA about the drought behavior in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands for the past 6 months. And lastly, I'm going to touch upon the last thing and quickly I wanted to explain that would be the next tab is basically, the tropical, since we are in the tropical season, the next tab, you can, you apologize, you have the hurricane center page of the systems they're monitoring, or those are being developed, but most importantly, at the right side, we have a third tab when we have any type of any system, any impacts of those tropical system will be received in Puerto Rico. At present, the one that is affecting the Florida Peninsula is Milton, and you can see the impacts, what the prevailing impacts of that system, in terms of the tornadoes, storm tides, and so forth. There's not a lot of time to do so, but if you have questions about any of this information about this, we can provide more context of those tools. But I wanted to to underscore or focus on there are two additional points of information that are out there. This would be the hydro daily briefing. I'm going to pass the baton to Emmanuel again. Yes, on the additional tabs, you can see another platform, which is the RCU. This is essentially another platform where you can see all the hydrological resources affecting the Puerto Rico region and the Virgin Islands. And you can see here the rainfall accumulation for the past 24 hours, the levels of the reservoirs, the forecast for rain for the next day, several maps where you can see the rain deficiencies, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and throughout the year. Fortunately, it has been humid. You can see the most affected areas are those areas that are Guayama and Salinas. You can see a deficiency in water, the biggest deficiency. We have forecasts for rainfall. We have information about how of the state of the soils in Puerto Rico. We compile data from several platforms, not from no one, from the USDA's, USGA's, the Geological Service of the United States, the Department of Agriculture, and from the University of Puerto Rico that provides some maps about rainfall. And in this case, it would be the climatology of the river, and it tells you what rivers are above average or average. And we can see the levels of the wells, landslides, and basically a small summary of the hydrological conditions of Puerto Rico, because we know about the impact, the significant impact that this has on farmers. And lastly, that I wanted to emphasize is basically where do we get those the climatic normals for Puerto Rico, and this is from 1999 to 2020, and we have like 30 seconds left. So the normals, you can see a link here on this tab. These normals are on our web.gov of SJU. We have calculated those using the cooperative stations with several observers. On the left side, you can see what's normal rainfall during the March, and you can see the values. and average throughout the 30 years, and colors, so you have an idea of what you should expect in the region during that month or throughout the year in terms of rainfall in the Puerto Rico region. And we can do the same thing with temperatures, minimum and maximum. And we have an interactive map whereby you can see different climatic normals throughout the stations we have in Puerto Rico, and those we finish with our 20 minutes. With that, basically, it's a summary of what this tool can offer. There's a lot of information, but this is like a foundation that can use so they can start, see if this helps, taking, making decisions, and we can take any questions now.
Gracias, Cecilia.
Thank you, Cecilia and Manuel. Virtual applauses. It is a great tool, and I wanted to invite you to avail ourselves of the opportunity, Cecilia and Manuel, to propound your questions. Don't miss this opportunity. We have some people have come forth asking about this information that you're showing in just one application. This is very valuable. As a matter of fact, at the individual level, as a citizen, to be able to access this information, see all these forecasts and all that information. I invite you to propound questions. And while we handle the questions, I wanted to ask Cecil and Manuel, which data you see in the StormReady dashboard, which is more required, which is, you get the most questions about that, which tab. And one of the questions propounded the most in the geology, the levels of the reservoirs, the state of the rivers, if we have had less or more rainfall, because the drought is very important, not only for farmers but also for state agencies such as PRASA. PRASA calls also every week to ask for the forecast to adjust operations, and the information about hydrology is the data which is required the most by citizens, schools, as teachers ask about information about rainfall and temperature. We pass that information to students so that students can make their homework and make decisions. The government, that is. I invite any person that want to propound any questions to open the microphone, or you can write the question in the chat, and you have been congratulated for the information before. This is available in mobile, but the links that are up there, you can access. There's a link in your cell phone from which you can access this information from a mobile phone. Let me change to the chat now. I can read it now if you prefer to do so. Let's see if you can. Let me stop sharing. That page is available. Let me jot this down to look for the link. I'm going to jot down your name to send you an email. If you could, if you could, get the email from that person, we can send the link. Hector, if we can eliminate the mute, you can raise your hand and propound any question. Thank you for being here. Perfect. I'm going to unmute you.
Adelante, Héctor.
Carry on, Hector. You have access to your microphone. Check, please.
Parece que no puede.
It seems that he isn't being able to access. Carry on. Check this, please.
Ahora puedo.
And now I can do so. Hello, hello, hello. Let me congratulate you. It has been great. I like your presentation a lot. I had several questions, two additional questions. If you could answer them. It seems to me that the first question is that if you have plans to develop an application, Android or mobile, if you will, besides the page you have, because it seems to me that the data it's amenable for users to get this by way of a notification, because cell phones give you the exact location of persons. Computers don't do that. That capacity of making an application, you would provide you the availability. Let's say that I am in Cabo Rojo. I want to know what's happening in Cabo Rojo, not what's happening in Fajardo. I don't know if you have any plans in that regard. The thing is that we have we're an umbrella agency. There are 122 agencies for forecasts throughout the states. All those decisions are taken in at the Washington level. I know that this has been discussed, that option. I cannot tell you what's the status, but certainly having that information in the app has been discussed. As discussed, this dashboard, you can open it up in your cell phone and you push the button that I mentioned at the beginning, and then you'll get the location and you can see what's happening at present in your location. If you open it up in your computer, you'll see the alerts and what's in effect in your area. If you need notifications, I know that the FEMA app, you can input the information about several locations, and you will get notification from pertinent notification through the FEMA application. But at present, and to make it as an application, it is not that we don't want to. It is just that at this moment, those are decisions taken up there. Last question, for the beach reports, instead, let's say that the notice is not for the entire municipality, but rather the coast. Again, the climatic regions, were done many years ago, taking account temperature and rainfall. The beach products, came out, a few years. We have had them like 15 years, and in order to be adjust them, this needs to go to Washington, and all those offices need to be in agreement to adjust the zone, because they need to be adjusted at the national level. If something's happening in Hawaii, in Alaska, in Guam, or California, we cannot adjust the zone. But eventually, if there's a project and we can issue those products, by way of a polygon, rather than a zone. It's not that I want to, draw San Germán with, submarine currents. It was not. I mean, this was not designed for just several zones. But it's a question propounded to us a lot. Thank you, Hector, for your question. Any other question that? We can share the emails of our colleagues, Cecile and Emmanuel, if you need to contact them, at some other time. We can do that as well. Now I'm going to proceed, and in the last few minutes, virtual applauses for Cecile and Manuel for the presentation. This is a great tool to be used, and we congratulate you, because in a long time, it takes a long time to work on this application, make sure that the links work, and to make it accessible. Cecilia, Manuela, I don't want if you want to make a final statement, but thank you very much for your participation and collaboration. We are very grateful for our collaboration. We hope for more collaboration in the future and many projects. I know that you are in the same place as well, so thank you. It's a mutual sentiment. Thank you very much. Great. We're going to go to do the evaluation. Silmari is going to share a link. This helps us to improve the activities. Through the comments of people that participate, you can be honest in this evaluation form. We invite you to participate in this form. It takes about 2 minutes, and there are not a lot of questions to answer the form, and then we're going to share the input with Cecilia and Manuel so that they benefit from what you have to say about this tech talk that is specific. Thank you, Silmari. I wanted to briefly announce the next activity on October the 24th, 2024. There's a link. It is in the YMCA. This is there's no cost. We have we have limitation in the space, so we invite you to register and so can you participate in that workshop. The next tech talks, as stated by Cecile, how to join on November 20 in the collaboration in the community and snow. And we have another talk about landslides, how to mitigate and prevent them. We invite you to fill out the registration form. I want to announce that we have a YouTube channel as well. The tech talks we have been announcing, we are translating them, putting subtitles in English and Spanish for the benefit of you all. You can enter to YouTube channel and you can see the past tech talks that we have had. We want you to access those videos at your convenience, and you can put them in podcast form so that we can leave those for as a legacy in perpetuity. Lastly, we invite you to a webpage, YouTube channels, Facebook. We have an email that you can see on the screen. Thank you for participating in this tech talk, and thank you to Cecilia and Manuel for their time. I know that the work they do is very important for Puerto Rico and for the National Weather Service. Thank you for setting aside some time to be with us today. Thank you. That would be the end of the tech talk. Any questions that you may have, let us know. Thank you, Cecile. Good day to you all. Thank you. A pleasure.